Hi, Eric Gibaud, ericgibaud.com, and today we're going to speak about something that has to do that every day I receive some private messages or comment in YouTube asking my opinion about the image quality of such or such camera. So I think it's time for me to make some kind of official communique of my opinion about this. Honestly, camera makers don't care about image quality. This is not a priority for them. So we're going to speak about it and why I say that. So let's start. First, it's really important to make a big difference between image quality and photo quality, photography quality. I actually made a video about this, I'll leave you here, but to make a small recap of it, basically the quality of the pictures is down to the photographer and the image quality is down to the gear he's using. So we're not going to speak about if a picture is good or bad on aesthetic point of view. We're going to speak about the image quality about a technical point of view, about what the maker of the camera has made for you or sold you to get a better or not image quality. Okay, first of all, let's define what would be the best image quality. Well, probably the human vision, if the person has no sight problem like me with glasses, or well, if it's corrected, maybe it's fine, okay? No color blindness, and as long as he's watching or seeing directly, not through a screen, nothing, just directly, obviously, in theory, that would be the best image quality. So we're gonna see if we can reach that or not, all this, okay? When we speak about human vision, very often people think of the eye. But the eye is not good. It's maybe good for sharpness, things like this, and get focus at the right place, okay? But really, you cannot speak about human vision without thinking about the processing power of our brain. Actually, what we see has nothing to do, or not much to do, with what the eye is actually capturing, okay? So if you do if you translate to cameras, you have the lens and the sensor or film, and then you have the processor behind that, okay? So this is the whole thing that makes the results. Same thing as human vision is the eye, but also the brain that has a big or massive part in it, okay? So let's carry on with that. So now we have defined what could be maybe the best image quality. We should think if we need it, we want it, if brands are interested, or if we are interested. Well, if you get a camera that gives you the same dynamic range and everything as the human vision, probably you just have the framing and the composing left to play with, okay? And when people look at the picture, they will probably say, yeah, that's okay, that's what I saw, okay, yeah, that's fine. But you kill the surprise effect. This thing that you use to give a unique look to your pictures, like it's more contrasty, or it's darker or lighter, or some parts are not really easy to see, or whatever, okay? All these small defects that makes things really unique, you just kill them. So anyone who would have the same camera as you, would frame the same, would have the same, exactly the same picture. So it kills something that was unique, okay? And also, our brain is now trained to see different than reality when we watch support to watch pictures, like smartphone, TV, computers. They all are more contrasty and more saturated, color saturated than reality. So when we look at a picture that looks exactly like reality, we are disappointed because they look like, well, that's okay. That's not no surprise anymore. It doesn't go, wow, stunning. Wow, this color. People are trained to see colors that are not real. People are trained to see contrasts that are not real. So when you show them reality, they are disappointed. So this is not interesting for the user to have exactly the reality, because it limits its creativity, I would say. And it's not interesting for the maker, because people would say, yeah, that camera is like reality. Well, yeah, okay, well, okay. No, and they would not sell much anyway because of that. Okay, so honestly, getting reality is not interesting for anyone. Okay, it's not interesting for the user, it's not interesting for the brand. Nevertheless, when a new camera comes out, the maker normally says, oh, we have now a better dynamic range. half a point, 1 point. 1 point is a lot, probably half a point. And people think, whoa, oh, let's see. They do expect something great. Okay, so they buy the camera and they look at the picture. And if they're honest, they say they don't see any difference. And I don't say if they're not honest, but if they are not conscious of what's going on, they probably think they see something different, but they probably do not see anything different. But just they've heard so much about the new quality of this that they believe it is there, and they think they see it, but actually they don't see it. Okay, why? Because if you have gear like companies like DxO Lab that actually measure and calibrate and do everything, they do see a difference, because normally there is a difference. But why is this guy who's just bought the camera not seeing the difference? Well, first of all, when you look at the picture on your screen, you need really good screen. First of all, it must be color calibrated, it must be contrast calibrated, light calibrated, everything calibrated. It should have a special side, so you don't have any light coming sideways. It should be in a room with gray 18% gray paint on the walls, no direct light. The light in the room should be calibrated too. It should be really a perfect environment to watch the picture, to see the picture, look at it properly. And maybe 1 out of 10,000 photographers have a screen that's okay, and probably a lot less than that as all the ambient situation to be able to see the picture in the perfect conditions. Okay, so most people will be disappointed. They will say, well, I was expecting something like wow, and I see, okay, well, I don't actually see the difference. Some people will say that when they try to get shadows back, this off point is helping, and they do see a difference. Yeah, probably on the zoom 400 they probably see it, but 400%, okay, but probably when you look at the end picture you don't see the difference, or if you print it you see it even less, because there's even less dynamic range on paper. So actually making all this effort to sell you something you will not see is not worth it for the maker. So they will only get disappointment. So they must work on something else to convince you to change camera. And this is what we're going to see now. When you see new camera coming out, they always, most brands, they go the same way, okay? They try to sell you high numbers, but always the same thing, and then next season is different thing and all this, okay? Well, they started really hard with the ISO, but it was logical at the start. If you had a picture at 400 ISO that looked like a pizza because the noise was so much, it was logical to better it, okay? But I think from the second they get a clean picture at 1600 ISO or 3200 ISO, or let's say even 6400 ISO, most photographer will tell you, experienced photographer will tell you that is more than enough to make pictures, okay? Especially if they made film photography before, so that's fine. But still, they pushed numbers because they sell. When Sony started to say they had 50,000 ISO or 100,000 ISO, that sells a lot. But people, they're just like, wow, that's fantastic. I can make picture at 100,000 ISO. I don't even speak about the quality of this picture at 100,000 ISO, okay? Because it looks also like a pizza. But people are seduced by numbers. And they don't even realize that they will never need to make picture at such high ISO, okay? First, if you know about lighting, about light, about photography, you know that if you need to push the ISO that high because there's not even light, there's not enough light, well, the result is you will see better. That is something that is not nicely lit. So what's bad will be visible, better, but still bad, okay? So it's always better to go for the lighting option more than for the high ISO. You also lose on dynamic range when you push your ISO, okay? So they sell the number, but they lose on quality. But this number really sell. And if you look at other part that came back now is about megapixel. High megapixel sell a lot. I've got a friend who've got several pictures of 1 by 1.5 meter printed, made with a Canon 300D, which is about 15 years old, maybe 5 million pixel, and prints is fine. Perfect, really nice, okay? But brand don't want you to know that. They want you to think that with less than 40 million pixels you cannot make a picture, okay? So they're going to sell you very high megapixel, because this number, they just get you wow. People buy a 40 million pixel camera and they say, well, now I can print something the size of a building. They forget to mention they've never printed anything in their life, okay? So they will not print a building size picture, and they will probably not even print a 10 by 15 centimeter picture anyway, okay? And if they do, they could have done it with a lot less million pixel, okay? People start to think that with 16 million pixel you cannot work. And this is not true. Obviously, you can professionally work with 16 million pixel, but selling you 40 or 45 sells a lot more. So this is why they push these numbers, because they seduce a lot. And then, you know, the right time, the right second for making the picture, like what Cartier-Bresson said, the precise moment. Well, you need to be really ready, really to click, okay? But with the right burst rate, maybe 100 pictures per second, then that's fine. You cannot miss it. You will always get it. So many people say, yeah, now I cannot miss a picture. But how often do you need this? Probably never. Maybe you make picture of stones, and you maybe if it's really windy to move the stone, maybe it's not the right day to make pictures. Well, actually, I made this joke in another video, okay? But honestly, you probably don't need such high burst rate for most people don't need that, okay? So these are numbers that really seduce, and it's important to develop this because people will buy although they don't need. Same thing with video in your photography camera. Many people buy a photography camera because they are video features they think they will use, and they never use them. They try once and they never make video. These numbers sell a lot. If I tell you this camera is full HD, say, okay, it's 4K, oh, 6K, oh, 8K, wow! But your computer is not even able to process an 8K video, so why are you doing, wow, you're paying for something you cannot process yourself, okay? So, but still, this seduces a lot of people, the video feature. These figures really sell a lot. To say that this camera can do 6K or 8K sells a lot, even if people who buy it don't even need it. Maybe I think the only one of the only thing I think is worth bettering, and they are working on it, and I think it really helps. This is the IBIS, the stabilization. Why? Because yes, it's a great help for the photographer. You can drop your speed a lot, and you don't need to put the ISO so high in many situations, so you keep a better dynamic range, you don't risk so much noise or whatever, okay? And if you use it in video, maybe depending on how you work and depending on the IBIS, but if you can avoid to have a gimbal that is also a lot of space, all this, that really helps. And probably this figure, bettering your IBIS, is interesting for most photographers and videographers, okay? But all the rest are figures that really seduce people, but they don't actually need or use. Do you really think giant like Sony, Canon, I would say even also Fujifilm, I don't speak about Nikon because they have financial problem, but I speak about these three giants. Do you think they cannot give you this maximum quality right now? Yes, they can. Obviously they can. When you see software like DxO Lab or Topaz, when they can refocus your images, clean your raw files, enlarge anything you want, and get images that's really great, okay? It would be that simple for these brands or any brand to buy the technology, put better or more powerful processor in the camera, and get all this technology on board and give you the perfect quality from camera, okay? Why don't they do it? Because they don't want to do it. They are not interested in doing it. If they do it, it means you will not buy any more camera. Because right now, they just use image quality as a small carrot that you expect is going to better. When you buy the camera, you're not seduced, but they give all these really high numbers aside, like ISO and burst rate and all this to seduce you, so you're not that disappointed about the result. You feel the camera is a lot better, but you still expect bettering image quality at some point. And actually, you don't even realize you don't need it, okay? But you still expect this, so you accept all their marketing stuff or what they say in the hope that one day you get the perfect image quality. We see at the beginning we don't want it, okay, but you think you want it, okay, and it means that they don't want to include this in their cameras, because then that will be no sale anymore. And actually, if you get a raw file from your camera, your 10-year-old camera, you process it again in a raw processor of nowadays 2022, okay, you will see you have like a new camera. It means that what's important is the process behind, not actually the camera. So obviously they could include this in their camera right now, buying the technology, buying this company, getting better processor and do it. But they do not want to do it because they will stop selling cameras. A few years ago, people would look at Chinese optics like, whoa. But nowadays they get better and better. But not just the optic. It's actually, you realize that the process behind the picture is really, really important. Many cheap lenses become great lenses if the process in your computer is properly done and you have the right software, you know how to do it, all this. So average lenses, they become like great all of a sudden. So then you realize that for many years, camera makers have been laughing at us, selling us expensive things, expensive lenses, when actually they could have bettered the process side of it. And an average lens with the right process get a great image quality because they can correct many things, many aberration, many things, many sharpness, all this, because this is the way it is. So you realize that they've been laughing at us for too many years, and this is why now Chinese lenses are more and more famous, because people save a lot of money, and you realize very often the difference in image quality at the end is not enough to justify paying 10 times or 100 times more than the Chinese lens, okay? And now for the small moment of humor, if I didn't do it yet, okay? That makes me laugh that many people actually ask for better image quality, and then you look at the picture, and I'm not going to criticize photographic quality. I speak about image quality, okay? Don't say the picture are good or bad. Don't say that. I say that they process the picture, getting a preset like teal, orange and teal, or blue and black, or whatever. And they don't realize, or don't seem to realize, that from the second they do that, they kill all the money they spent on better image quality. From the second you start playing with contrast, you're killing the dynamic range you paid for. From the minute you play with colors, you also kill a big part of the image quality you paid for. So really, you see that many people are claiming they want better image quality, but actually they don't need it, because the process they want to give to the picture, which is respectable, and very often they're great pictures, they don't look like reality. So why do you want better image quality that gives you reality when you actually don't want reality in your final picture, okay? So it's no point. So honestly, I think camera brands, camera makers, they perfectly know that you don't need the best image quality. They don't want to make it because you would probably stop buying cameras. They prefer to think that one day you'll get it, and in the meanwhile they seduce you with very high figures, with ISO, megapixel, and things like this, because that really seduces people more than speak about of image quality that you will not see anyway, and probably you will be retouching in a way that you actually kill it. So they know it. So this is why for them image quality is not a priority. They need to work on other things that really seduce a lot more buyers and make them think their camera is obsolete, okay? So I hope you like the video. If you feel it may interest other people, please share it on social networks. If you have not done it yet, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Small button down here, also a small bell. If you click on the bell, get notified when I upload a new video. My website, ericgibaud.com. If you have any question, can leave a comment below. Also leave you links of my gear on Amazon. Also leave you links of everything I've reviewed by Sendmark and K&F Concept, and also a link to my PayPal account in case you wanted to make a donation. And now in all my videos, a small heart with a $sign, you actually do a direct donation if you want on any of my videos. Okay, so thank you very much. Please take care of yourself and see you soon. Bye.